Great. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, for the next 10-15 minutes, we're going to run through a very informal conversational fireside chat on some of the issues facing the digital ecosystem. I can see the timer has kicked in, so we won't eat too much into your lunch break. So my first question for you, Najib, is we've heard over the past day and a half of how different consumer behaviors, business behaviors are changing with new generations of technology. We've gone to 2G, 3G, 4G, and many countries are using all of these together. So what are some shifts you're seeing in consumer behavior through these different generations of technologies?
Thank you, Madden. Good afternoon, everyone. Just to kick off, so we have seen a lot of changes, especially Halotel, since we are very much invested in the rural areas, where we have seen a lot of growth and changes from the feature phones to the smartphones. A lot of our customers were using feature phones before, and we have seen a lot of demand on the digital area, a lot of demand on data, and therefore a lot of demand on smartphones. We have supported the initiatives by supporting the financing of the devices, and we have seen a lot of pickup on that. On top of this, we have also supported the customers by introducing more digital products. We have seen a lot of interest in the digital products. We launched our super app, Halotel, we call it My Halo, and we have seen a lot of use from the people in the rural areas as well. The app is integrated with a lot of our products, including social networking, access to educational materials, streaming, and music on demand. So there is a lot of change, a lot of movement from the feature phones towards the smartphones and adoption of the digital technology.
Great. I'm glad you mentioned super apps. That's a big trend sweeping across many markets. One app for every single application. Two of the remarks you made yesterday also drew a lot of applause from the audience. You called for less excise duties and maybe a less data flow tax. Can you share a bit more about what you meant and how we can get more progress on these issues?
Sure. So on excise duty, you see the excise duty increases the cost for the final consumer. And this cost limits the digital advancement. We need to grow more on the digital economy, but if the costs are higher, then there is less adoption. People want to adopt the technology, people want to use the digital products, but the price is just too expensive. And remember, these are the people from the rural areas where we have invested more in, and therefore we get the complaints from them. They're telling us everything is just too expensive, and we are trying to find ways to reduce the prices so that we can meet their demands. On the other matter, on the data flow price, the data flow price was a minimum price introduced by the TCRA to ensure that the operators remain profitable. But over time, it has changed to become more of a maximum price or an indicative price, whereby now all the operators are charging this minimum price. And therefore, this stifles competition, it stifles innovation. For example, Halotel cannot be more creative in introducing more products because we are not able to reduce the price on this. And therefore, this limits the competition in the market. So this is a big problem. And that's my view. So I think, as I mentioned the other day, a lot of operators, well, all operators are moving more towards the FTTH because that's more competitive, and more customers are ready to pay for FTTH because it's just cheaper. With the same, with mobile internet, I would pay, for example, 200,000 Tanzanian shillings to use something in a month that I would pay maybe 80,000 on FTTH. So it's just not helpful, and it doesn't help our agenda. We need to push more digital adoption, and with we do away with the data floor price, it will help a lot with the adoption, especially in the rural areas.
Thanks so much, Najib. You're right. I think a lower tax would increase the tide and all the boats would get lifted with it, so to speak, metaphorically. You also mentioned yesterday about how the Africa story is becoming very interesting now. Africa is now a continent of opportunity, of markets, of solutions. And the story of Halotel is pretty interesting as well. We're now seeing Vietnam and other countries of Asia also becoming big players in the region in addition to the US and Europe. So tell us a bit about the backstory of Halotel and Viettel.
Sure. Thank you. So for those who don't know, Halotel is a subsidiary of the Viettel Group. Viettel Group has invested in different markets around the world. In Africa, we have a footprint in many countries, including Mozambique with Movitel and Burundi with Lumitel. So Halotel is also one of our key operations, and our strategy has always been to make sure no one gets left behind. We invest significantly in the rural areas and work close with the governments to ensure the communication services are provided to everyone in the country. And with our group, we do have different investments in different industries. So in the Viettel Group, we have the telecommunication industry, we have construction and manufacturing, and therefore when we invest in a market, we do it very quickly. We build the towers very quickly, we import the equipment needed very quickly, and we deploy the networks very quickly. And just to throw some more information there, Movitel and Lumitel are the leading operators in Burundi and Mozambique, and I believe Halotel will be a leading operator soon in Tanzania.
A round of applause, please, for that. Good progress made in different African markets. Congratulations to your whole group. We also heard about mobile money a lot yesterday, and we heard today about why it's important to finance different kinds of digital ICT infrastructure and so on. So what's your take on fintechs and digital money, and how are you partnering with banks and NBFCs and so on?
Fintechs are very important. We work very closely with the fintech industry, Tafina. So Tafina is the Tanzania Fintech National Association, or Tanzania Fintech Association, I believe. Sorry about that. We work closely with them. We do attend most of the events as well, and we look out for these startups that we can partner with, because we believe the startups have very good innovative ideas, and we want to be able to provide new and innovative ideas to our customers. It's a very good area to look at, and we are very encouraging to partner up with the fintech companies. We did see a lot of good products from them. For example, the products to the SACCOs, what we call the community finance associations, whereby a group of people can come together and before it was very informal, but the SACCOs has formalized it, and now they're able to monitor their savings, they're able to invest in different platforms. So it has really helped a lot. And by partnering with these fintechs, we're able to make sure these customers get this service that they provide. Yeah.
Great, that's good to hear. Another theme that's come up many times in this conference is the question of talent. There's a war for talent out there, and companies are struggling to upskill their workforces. We heard the previous panel talk about AI is very new, and how do you figure out how to embed AI? We heard a question on how to use AI to improve security solutions. So how is Halotel gearing up its talent, and how are you doing more on the diversity front?
Thank you. So Halotel, first of all, we do not outsource most of our services, and therefore we have hands-on on most of our operations. So we have around 400 engineers all over Tanzania maintaining our towers, and these are our employees, and we provide program trainings every day, and therefore we invest a lot in our local talent. Each year there's also a program to send our workforce to Vietnam for more advanced training, So each year, a couple of employees get opportunities for more advanced training in Vietnam. We also support the students. Recently, we sent two of them to, we sponsored their master's education in ICT in Vietnam. So we do a lot in this area. We believe the local talent needs to be developed a lot, and we start with them very early and grow them and give them very good managerial positions to be able to take care of our network.
Fantastic. I know we've got some academics in the audience. I'd urge them to get in touch with Najib and see how you can increase the talent and skilling from the university front as well. You briefly talked about startups, and that's a big topic of interest in Africa now. Startups, incubators, accelerators, funds of funds, angel funding, private equity investment into startups, and so on. What's your strategy to engage with startups? Do you have an investment fund? Do you hold demo days, accelerator days? What are you doing with startups?
So unfortunately, currently we do not have a venture fund or we don't have an organization that deals with that specifically. However, we are planning on introducing one soon because we see the potential of it and it is growing. So currently, we engage with them through Tafina, the association I just mentioned. We reach out to them whenever we see a startup that is very potential and that we see very good opportunities to invest in. So that has been our current strategy.
Great. So all those of you looking to engage with startups, keep this in mind. There's a lot of talent out there among the youth and mid-career professionals, and you can tap them for new kinds of ideas and resources. We've got a few minutes left, and I've got a couple of questions more for Najib. But if there are any questions in the audience, this is a very good time to raise your hands and ask Najib a few questions about mobile networks, talent, technology, AI, and so on. So I'll go ahead with the questions, but if you got some, just raise your hand and jump in whenever you want. So my next question for you is, what appetite do you see for international investors in Africa's ICT ecosystem? We're hearing a lot of new funds coming in, new banks, new tech companies, and so on. What are you seeing in this space?
So the talent is big. The digital agenda in Africa has been growing significantly. The governments are very cooperative, very open, and that pulls in more investments. We have seen the landscape in Tanzania, and the policies are very good. That is something that I am very happy about. The company is very happy about, and I'm sure more companies are happy about. Recently, there was a forum where there were some investors who were invited into the country to see the opportunities to invest, and there was very good outcome on that front as well. One area I would like to commend on the government is UCSAF. We have partnered a lot with UCSAF. We got a lot of people talking about UCSAF and commending them, and this is one example of the policies that the government has in place to encourage and bring in investment into the country. So, yeah.
Thanks. I'm glad you mentioned UCSAF. We have UCSAF on a session in the afternoon after the lunch break. Among industry organizations, you talked briefly about the Tanzanian FinTech Association. Are there any other industry associations you're working with as an operator?
Yes, we're working with TAMNOA. We're working with the GSMA as well. With TAMNOA, this is the Tanzania Mobile Network Operators Association. We have significantly pushed forward the digital agenda, the telecommunication policies in the country, and the government has been very understanding on this front, and we have done a lot together. We also worked with the GSMA. They helped us a lot to also work on the mobile money side. We were able to remove the mobile money levies which were hindering the business in the previous years. And now everything is growing very steadily, and we're getting to a very good place now. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's good to hear. I've got one last question for Najib. Anyone else in the audience want to jump in? This is your chance. Do I see a hand going, gone? Okay. My last question for you, Najib. We just have a minute or so left. What are your tips for, oh, you have a question. Yeah. Can we get a mic to Nazar in the front row, please?
Yes, thank you so much, Madan. On the fintech, whatever you call it, subsector or sector, how is the as you interact with individuals, how is the gender gap in terms of financial sector deepening using the fintech systems, if I may?
Yeah, can you shed light maybe on some of these lending organizations? Do they have policies encouraging women entrepreneurs, for example? Yeah, one more question. Fantastic. I think it's on. If you start talking, yeah.
Thank you. I just wanted to add a small one. It has been on news for past 3 or 4 days, where we see that devices which we conduct normal communications can be used as weapons. What is your take, without basing on the contemporary altercations politically, but what's your take in terms of the safety of devices which are currently in the market, especially that we are now moving digitally? Are we safe enough, or should we do something on that?
Great. So two questions, one on women and inclusion and one on security. Yeah.
Thank you. Those are very good questions. One very difficult. I hope I'll be able to answer it. Well, for the first one, on the diversity, on the women entrepreneurship, there's very good things done on that front. I see a lot of fintechs coming up with these savings and credits products that are specifically targeting women. In Tanzania, women are more engaged on the SACCOs, the community funds. And this has given them a lot of opportunities to be able to invest in businesses. And the SACCOs are doing very well, and most fintechs are targeting that. They see the opportunity, and therefore women entrepreneurship is growing very well in that front. And Halotel supports that, and we work closely with these fintechs, and we push to allow more women entrepreneurs to be able to invest in their businesses. On the second item, on the devices, I am very happy and confident with the things that have been kept by the TCRA, the procedures. Before any equipment is imported into the country, there is, for example, the type approval requirement by the TCRA. So there is a lot done on that front. Specifically on the safety, I believe we are on a better side in terms of safety, because you can never be 100% sure unless there is actual risk. So before you establish the preventative measures, you need to assess the risks available. So because Tanzania doesn't have a lot of risk in terms of political instability, for example, we are not in war with anyone, and we are relatively a very safe country. So the risk and the measures which are put in place to address those risks are relatively on the low side. But again, I believe we are safe. But just to make sure we do not end up on a similar scenario, maybe more measures can be put in place. We do have a very good tracking system. We have the TCRA I mentioned looking into the equipment being imported into the country, but we also have the eco-levy which can be used to monitor this equipment as well. So each equipment is known. Each supply of this equipment is known. So if there is any risk tied to any of these suppliers, we are able to identify them.
Great, we're almost out of time now. Najib, what's your final parting shot? What's your final word of wisdom? Final tip, a one sentence, few sentences, words of advice for the audience on digital advancement.
I think we have spoken a lot on this, but maybe one more thing I would mention is collaboration. Collaboration is very key. We cannot do everything by ourselves. I believe we all have our strong points, and we all have something to do in the digital agenda. I am very open, we are very open to work with everyone, so long as we do have a win-win situation, and to be very productive in terms of collaboration, not only on the businesses, but with the government as well. So value-added services from businesses and good policies from the government. So this is my advice to the floor, and I hope we have good engagements, good conversations after this. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for being such an attentive audience. I'm sure you're also a very hungry audience now. We break for lunch, but first, let's give a big round of applause to Nagib from Halotel for his fantastic insights. Let's take a group photograph, and then we break for lunch. You need to get your lunch coupons again for lunch in the hotel. If you don't have the coupons, please get them from the registration desk. We'll be back again at 2:15. We're doing pretty good on time, so I'll see you all in about an hour. Thank you.